up, party people? Welcome to another edition of DJ to DJ. I'm your man, Fernando G. And as always, we got another amazing talents here. And today, we got two talents. Amazing talents. We're talking about the legendary Baka Boyz. What's up, my brothers? How you doing, man?
Hey, welcome. Thank you. Thank
Two
you
for the
having
price
us.
of one, two burritos and one tortilla.
There we go. There we go.
I don't know what to say about that. I really don't.
So, just to give you an idea of how this works, basically, we kind of talk to DJs about how they got started into DJing and what it took to get to where they are today. And you guys obviously have a very interesting story. Now, I just missed working with you guys at Power 106 back in the day because I left early 92, just before you guys got there. I was working in the music research department. Thanks to my good friend Richard Vision. He's the one that got me in there. And then I ended up going to Spanish radio just before you guys got there, man. So I missed you by that much.
Okay. The asylum before we got there and shit haywire. You know, it was never the same.
Dude, it was pretty crazy, man. Brothers, if you guys can squeeze in just a little bit more so we can get you both in there, that would be great. There we go. Now I got you both. So let's go back to the early days. Now, this is interesting because, I grew up with, 4 brothers, 1 sister, and you guys have got an interesting story. How did you guys discover DJing? How did you first come across turntables and all that stuff and took off from there? How did that happen?
Go ahead and you started, Nick V, because
Okay.
he was the first one that was enamored by DJing.
Yeah, you know what? We used to go to, like everybody else, quinceañeras, weddings, and all that stuff. And I would always hang out by the DJ booth, and everybody was dancing or whatever. Everybody was dancing and doing whatever, and I was just standing.
I'm sorry, Fern. Can you put your bowl away right now, just while we're doing this interview, Nick V? Please.
No, cannot. This is to help me speak the truth about who I am.
All right.
You can do what you want to do. I want to do what I want to do.
Alrighty. See, this is what
There you
happens. This is what happens, Fern.
Hey, dude, it's reality. It's what it is, man. It's real TV, man. Let's do this.
You want the truth? You want me to be here and talk about me and my story? Then
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Go.
So I would always be by the DJ booth and what have you. And one time, this memory came back later. DJ Flash was DJing at our cousin Ricky's wedding, and he had an emergency. He had to leave, and he let me take over the turntables. And I didn't think anything of it at that time. I didn't think that was my first time DJing. So that was my first time DJing. But fast forward to us having a teenage nightclub in Bakersfield called Vidal's in 1984. And it was a family affair. Me, Eric, mom, dad, brother, and everybody was just doing everything together. So we did rock shows and what have you. Finally, we landed on bringing in a DJ Moses A, who started bringing in all kinds of dope music from overseas, all kinds of imports and stuff. And I was 11. Eric was probably 13, 12 and a half, 13.
Wow.
And that's the first time we saw the turntables. It was like a sea of kids, 1,000 kids dancing every Friday and Saturday night. I was on the fog machine. I was running around spraying fog on everybody, and it was the dance floor too. When Nick V would come, because you could slip on that fog.
Slippery.
That was the beginning. 1984 Vidal's.
Wow, that's a cool story. And so, how did you learn to beat mix? How did you discover it? I mean, everybody has a different story as to how they finally figured out how to beat mix and stuff. And what's your story behind it?
Yeah, me first, because I started DJing first, and Eric V, he had another teacher. But Frankie Perez in Bakersfield took me to the side and said, hey, start it with this, and then try to keep it on beat as long as you can. That was the beginning of it, and that was it for me. That was like, soon after I started in 84, because he was looking at this little kid up there, and I probably didn't know how to mix, so it probably sounded shitty. He's like, I can't continue to let this kid do this like this.
That's
so Eric
classic.
has a different story.
What's your story, Eric?
Yeah. So my story was when I wanted to learn how to DJ, Nick refused to teach me. He would not teach me.
I was still a student. I wasn't a teacher yet.
Whatever. He didn't want to teach me. So I had to teach myself. I taught myself how to beat mix, but I did not know how to mix in time. It was on beat, but not in time. There's a difference. So one trick was told me by Sidney Perry from Bakersfield as well. At that time, his name was DJ Mastermind, and he told me how to be on time. Like if the record started with a snare, it's a boom, bam. You know,
Right.
you know what I mean? It starts before the one. So you're not gonna go right on the one, it's gonna go boom, boom, then you're one. You know what I mean? That's how it starts. Every record starts different. Some of them don't start with the kick. Some of them start with a clap. Some start with a word. Some start with, so there's different timing to everything. So he showed me that one trick that just helped me open a door to mixing in time, not only on beat, but in time as well. Cause there's two different things.
Yes.
You know? And so that really just helped me, once I learned to teach myself how to beat mix, then that taught me how to be in time.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys were growing up, and once you guys both started DJing, did you guys ever start competing against each other? Because I know with my brothers, my oldest brother Marco was the one that taught me, and then I kind of, sort of taught my brother Jerry, and Jerry kind of took off on his own. But we all kind of did our own things. We weren't really in competition with each other, but we were definitely butting heads on certain things, So how was it for you guys?
For me, it was never a competition. Maybe for Nick, he was more of the showmanship of the two of us. Like he would always go, we'd go to DJ battles. He'd go battle. I would never want to battle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was more of a mixer, like more mixing, I could do some doubles here and there, but being the DJ turntablist was never the strongest part of my DJing thing. So I stayed to my lane. You know what I mean? I worried about selection, making sure that the mixes sound clean, all that stuff. That's more where I really focused my DJing on, and Nick could pick up from there.
Oh yeah, we never really competed against each other. If anything, we practiced together.
That's good.
It was automatically a team. Once he started DJing on his own, I didn't teach him.
Wait, it wasn't just a team. I mean, we had Mr. Chalk, we had C-, we had Alex G. So we'd have a crew of people coming over, and we'd be doing it's time over and over a million times in the bedroom, so we were all learning from each other and practicing with each other, like as far as the DJing stuff goes, so that was a big influence. And of course, listening to K-Day, Tony G, Julio G, Joe Cooley, MY, Tracy, all those guys, that influenced us to want to be on radio. So that's how we got into radio. I'm sure that was probably one of your questions. I apologize.
It's all good.
So that led to us wanting to DJ on the radio.
And before that, we were just doing, obviously the teen club. And then we went to doing mobile, creating parties and throwing parties at the halls in Bakersfield, Harvest Hall, Kern County Fairgrounds, Delano. We would play in Shafter, just like anywhere outside of Bakersfield, inside Bakersfield, all the high schools and stuff like that. Up until 1986, when we started hearing the K-Day tapes, we tried to figure out for that 2 years, how are we going to get on radio? That was the next phase in our eyes. Like, oh shit, we can do this on radio. Wow, let's try that.
That's cool.
Being DJ in Bakersfield and running parties and ditching school and passing out flyers wasn't enough for us. It was like, what's the next thing we can do? Always.
And how did you guys come across getting your first turntable? Now I know you mentioned that the turntables you guys were at the club, but did you guys start getting into buying your own equipment and stuff and doing your own mobiling, or was it just your crew, everybody kind of pitching in? What was that like?
No, that actually came from our teen nightclub. So Vidal's, which was the teen nightclub that was started with my older brother Frank, and our dad Frank Sr.
Good.
So we had a teen nightclub in Bakersfield every Friday and Saturday night. 1,000 kids, $5 a head to come in and party with, Moses A, who was the resident DJ who was brought in by our older brother Frank. And long story short, on Fridays and Saturday morning after Friday night, we'd have to go clean up. We'd go and clean the whole place up, throw all the trash, everything, mop the floors, and if the floor needed to be repainted, all that stuff. We did everything.
Wow.
Our family. And then Moses found out that Nick was playing with his equipment. So he got upset. He got very upset. He went to my dad and said, hey, this is very expensive equipment. Your son's playing with it. Da, 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 da. So while I'm cleaning and doing all this stuff, he's over there DJing, messing with the turntables and stuff. So that happened about 3 or 4 times. And then, so he started taking his power cord away from him. There was a power cord with like a pigtail on it that you go in and lock it like a lock.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He would take that away from him. He would take it home so he couldn't mess with his equipment. And so what he started doing was, you know, being a electrician, all of a sudden, he started splicing what's called extension cords and just putting them up in the, not knowing what's positive, negative, nothing.
Freaking MacGyver and stuff over here.
Just all the shit.
I'm glad I did that now, Eric.
So you know what? I'm telling the story, bro. Can you just let me tell my story here? So he found out about that, you know, because he would leave the spliced extension cords in the DJ room.
I didn't cover up my evidence.
He did not cover up his evidence whatsoever. So he was like, he would leave it there, and Moses would find out about it. And he got mad again. He went to my dad. He's like, you know, he can't be playing with my equipment. This is expensive, blah, 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 blah. At that point, after hearing it 3, 4, 5 times, my dad just said, you know what? I'm done with this. He's like, how about this? I'm going to buy him equipment, and he's going to be the DJ. That was it.
Órale, fuera.
So he fired him. We came to LA, went to Exodus Records, bought $300 worth of records, bought a sound system, a Bose sound system, turntables, amps, everything he had in there. He took it out. We put our shit in, and Nick became the DJ. And I got promoted to fog guy.
Oh man, that's cool. That is very cool. So at what point, I mean, like you mentioned that you guys, you know, started listening to the DJs on K-Day and everything, and that you guys wanted to start doing this. So how do you guys start transitioning from the club and saying, okay, let's start stepping into radio? What was your first step, and what was that station, and where was it at?
It was an AM radio station in Bakersfield, 1350 AM KLYD. It was a classic rock station during the week. So they're playing Led Zeppelin,
AC/DC.
Pink Floyd, AC/DC, you know, all the classic rock stuff. And so my dad knew the owner from previous dealings with them. He had a 1350 AM. He had flipped that station multiple times in different formats. And so he's like, hey, my sons do, you know, radio, or they want to do a mix show on your airwaves, you know. And he's like, okay, cool. He's like, it's going to be $75 a week. So we had to pay. We paid to get on the air. We paid to get on the air every Friday and Saturday night. So we would take our turntables, needles, records, everything every Friday and Saturday and set up. So we were on from 7 to midnight every Friday and Saturday night. And so we would break records like, you know, Two Live Crew and Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, Trenier, Debbie Debs, Stevie B, Diamond Girl.
Pretty Poison was our first record we ever played. Catch Me
Really?
on Falling.
Catch Me on Falling.
Yeah, he keeps saying that. I don't know. I have a good memory.
I have I'm recording all the tapes from 1350.
Yeah.
Wow.
So first time I heard EPMD, You Got to Chill was on our show, you know. So yeah, so we did our best to emulate K-Day and what they were doing between not only their regular mix shows, but the high energy mix as well, the high energy show. So we were playing house music, we were playing hip hop, we were playing dance, we were playing hip house, we were playing everything that we got, you know, that we would either hear in LA or we got from our record pool.
Right.
We were part of a record pool at the time.
That's cool. That's cool. So do you guys start sending demos to LA, or was it that you got somebody heard you? How did you guys transition down here to SoCal?
You can start with that.
Well, the radio lasted about a summer for us in Bakersfield, and we were heartbroken. So we did our best to get back on radio as much as we could. And we did in Bakersfield, but it just wasn't the same. So we tried to make it to the FM radio stations in Bakersfield, writing, going to them, sending the demo. I don't even know if we sent a demo, but we just got cold, you know, slams in the door. They were looking at us like we're two young Mexican kids with no radio experience, even though we just did, you know, our damn thing on the AM radio station.
Right.
They weren't trying to hear us. So we went to Tony G, and, you know, we decided, we saw Tony and what he was doing, and he was producing records. He was making beats, and we were playing the records that he was making. So we're like, okay, how do you do that? And so Tony inspired us to buy the SP 1200 so we can start producing records. We had given up the dream to be on radio at that point. This is 1990, 91. And we're like, fuck it, we're going to start producing records. And one thing always about the Baka Boyz is like, when we want to do something and we get told we cannot do something, we figure out a way to do it anyway. So our thought was, fuck radio. We're going to make records so they would have to play our music on the radio.
Cool.
Okay. So that took us on a whole nother journey, starting producing records. We got first 3 songs on Kid Frost, La Raza album, working with Yo-Yo, working with Farside, working with all the Latinos, ALT, the Latin Alliance. Help me out here.
I mean, Melomanes.
Wow.
Yeah, all those guys. So from that whole camp, from the Latin, all the Latin rappers right there, that came all through Tony. So when Tony opened that door for us, he introduced us to all them, and from that point, we were, I was still wanting to do radio. It was still a passion of mine. And we were in LA. We were supposed to be in the studio that night and it got canceled. So we're like, okay, we're in LA. Our studio got canceled. What are we going to do? So we start calling around, looking for friends to hang out with or whatever. So we call our label friends. We call up this guy named Bruce Reiner who worked at Profile Records. So we went to go see him at Profile, shoot the shit, mess with him and stuff like that. He's like, hey man, what are you guys doing tonight? I said, we ain't doing nothing. We're stuck up here. We don't have nothing to do because our shit got canceled. He's like, you want to go to dinner with me and Harold Austin and Dave Morales? Yeah, okay, cool. So we end up at dinner at a place called Antonio's on Melrose, Mexican restaurant, with Dave Morales, who was the midday guy at Power, and also Harold Austin, who had just got hired from the Bay Area to become the music director for 92.3 The Beat. And so everybody's having a good time, laughing. They're singing La Bamba, they're drunk, this and that. And Nick slams the table and says,
by this time next year, we're going to be working for Proud 106.
Everybody starts dying laughing. They're like, fucking drunk, blah, 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 blah. So about an hour or two later, whatever, we go outside and, Morales pulls us. We're getting ready to take off. He pulls us to the side. He said, hey, man, you know what? I may be drunk. I may be drunk, and I am drunk, but you guys will be perfect for this show we're trying to start. A hip-hop show on Friday nights. You guys are in the studio with Yo-Yo, with Ice Cube and Cypress Hill, and you guys are living the actual music
lifestyle.
You're doing this. So he's like, I want to bring you up, to do this show. I was like, oh, okay. So basically, a couple weeks later, he hits me up and asks for a demo. So we put a demo together, and we sent it to him. Actually, we seen him at the Gavin in San Francisco. And so he was drunk again. We left him the demo tape. we left him the demo tape, and then another couple of weeks passed by probably or whatever. And he calls me like on a Tuesday or something. He's like, hey man, Rick wants to meet with you guys. Can you come down tomorrow in LA? All right, cool. So we drive to LA to Power 106 from Bakersfield, and we go meet with Rick Cummings, who's the program director at the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, I listened to the demo. He's like, I don't know what it is. Something's telling me there's something there. My gut is telling me there's something there. I don't know what it is, but that's what it's telling me. So he's like, you guys your energy's great, but you're talking too fast. Like, can you slow down a little bit? Can you do this? He was giving us a little bit of coaching, and we're like, yeah, I mean, that can be done and this and that. And he's like, well, you'd have to turn in your mixes. You have to pre-record your mixes and turn them in on reel to reel. I was like, oh, no. We don't do that. We don't do, sorry. I don't have a reel, number one. Number two, we mix live. And he's like, well, what if it skips? And I was like, then it skips. It's real.
It's live, yeah.
It's live. You didn't know, people know when it's real and when it's fake. So that's what it was. And he was like, well, when can you guys start? And I said, when do you want us to start? And he said, Friday.
It's on.
In 2 days. Mind you, Power has no mix room, no turntables, nothing. They have a newsroom.
Yeah.
It was a newsroom
the little room in between the studios.
Yes.
Yep,
where they would have the news lady read the news, do the traffic, and no mix room, nothing. So he's like, he calls up the engineer. He's like, hey, these guys are going to be doing a show Friday. Hey, I need you to plug them in so where they can plug in their turntables and stuff. So they run a wire directly to the board, and we bring our shit and, start in 2 days. We hustled back to Bakersfield, created all this imaging and stuff out of nowhere using our SP1200 for the imaging. He gave us a couple drops and we cut it and chopped that shit up and 2 days later, we started Friday Night Flavors. Well, it wasn't even named at that time. We didn't have a name. Somebody named it. Somebody called in. We were saying, hey, we're looking for a name for the show. And somebody said was it Flavor Friday?
Flavor Fridays.
Somebody said Flavor Fridays, and we changed it to Friday Night Flavors. But somebody had named it. So they had basic like generic drops from their sister station, Hot 97 in New York City. And it was just like all these New York rapper voices, the accents, you know, the East Coast accents, and it just had that raw hip hop vibe to it. So we took those and chopped them up and made them our own and flipped that shit. And, you know, we started Friday Night Flavors, and that was the beginning of what Power 106 became.
Yeah.
That is the blueprint for what Power is.
Yeah,
what it became in all the, you know.
Yeah, because I worked at Power 106 from 89 to early 92. And I left just as Rick Cummings came in. I was there with Jeff Wyatt and Al Tavera, and I was doing the marketing research, music market research department. So I was handling that department. I was doing promotions. I was board opping for the Case of Kasem's Top 40. And then when Rick came in, I remember them talking about switching things and going a little different route. And I ended up getting hired at K-Love. I became the promotions director. So I took off. Richard stayed there. And then like less than just a few months later, boom, you know, things start changing and they start switching around. They start going more urban and more hip hop. And then you guys came on board. And for a little while there, I kind of lost track of the general market because I was totally immersed into the Spanish market. But then I start seeing billboards pop up with you guys on there. And those things start popping up all over the place. So how did you transition from the Friday Night Mix Show to the morning?
Nick, take it.
Wow. So a couple months go by, Friday Night Flavors. Rick Cummings calls us in and he says, my DJs, my on-air jocks, my full-time guys are telling me how good you guys sound on the radio on Friday nights and that I should use you some more. And he's like, well, how do you guys feel about, you know, doing some overnight positions? And we're like, well, we never really thought about it. We're not trying to do a full-time gig. It's not really, we're producers, still producers at this point. You know, we're working in the studio, focus on that. But we say yes, and he brings us up for an entire week and puts us up in this nice hotel. Okay, so he asked us to do overnights. We do. And basically he offers us the position, right? How long do we do overnights, Eric?
A month
we do overnights. And then he moves us into a late night position from like 10 to 1 a.m. And we do well there. And then Lozano leaves. I don't know what happens. We wind up doing nights. And he said to us, when we come in to do nights, you have to have a benchmark. You have to create something that's going to beat Poor Man. Poor Man was number one with the Nightline thing.
No, Love Line.
Love Line. Okay.
So we're like, we listened to Love Line, like, oh, Love Line, K-Rock. That was number one by far and was number one for years. So we step into the market. We bring the roll call. We start the roll call. Roll call pops off 3 months. I don't know how long it was, but roll call took off like a wildfire. The nights blew up. And within 8 months from him asking us to do overnights, he at one point he sits us down and says, you guys are going to be the future stars of this radio station. And me and Eric were like, whatever that means. Like, okay, cool. So what does that mean? You know, it took us about 8 months to get from Friday Night Flavors to the morning show position. They just threw us in there. They threw us in there. We flew. We were flying free. They didn't show us a whole lot about what morning was.
We didn't know what it took to do a morning show. We were just, everything you heard was freestyle. That was just us being us, having fun, just being nasty. I mean, we were just being ourselves. You know what I mean? Like that, and that was like, and that's what is missing today in radio. There is none of that. It's so homogenized and so boring. It's like nobody's on right now doing anything of any worth. Nobody's like, oh my God, did you hear what such a...
Well, they just clipped everybody's wings, you know, let's be honest. Radio has changed. Everything's changed about it. You know,
it's all corporate. It's all PPM and all this other junk. They don't let you be you anymore. And that's the unfortunate thing about radio. And that's the thing that you guys had, that you guys brought, that you just brought. Talk about, you know, reality radio. You know, you guys brought it. And that's what I think made you guys take off, because everybody was. I remember just hearing, "Oh, did you hear the Big Boys this morning? That was freaking hilarious, man! You got to check these guys out." Everybody was talking about you guys, and it was just incredible how you guys took off, like boom, like wildflower, man.
Yeah, well, they gave us the reins, and we had 100,000 watts of fat Mexican power. How can you
72,000.
72,000. So good.
Actually, I had that drop.
So you guys had that about, calling yourselves fat Mexicans and stuff like that, because I remember the billboards, were two fat Mexicans and stuff like that. So how did your chemistry start? How did you guys start developing that chemistry? Was it something that you guys always had since childhood, or did you guys just kind of go with the flow? And
as far as being on the radio, or like,
yeah, just like as far as being on the radio and coming up with that style that you guys had.
I don't know exactly.
Eric was never on the air. He really didn't like to be on the air a lot. He wanted to be in the mix all the time. Mm-hmm. But when he opened the microphone, he was able to bring out his personality. And me, I was just I was the hype monster. Get in there, have fun. Here's the energy. Let's go see what happens. And then Eric V will pick up, like he still does.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, you guys definitely got that really cool chemistry. And it's interesting because you guys are more like best friends than brothers. And that's how I see you guys. It's like you guys got this weird, unique chemistry. Like again, coming from, a family of six, we were always butting heads, even though when we would work together, we'd still end up butting heads. I'm sure you guys do too, from time to time.
Oh, yeah. We witnessed it a while ago. Right. I want to put his goal away. We're trying to do an interview and he's cracking whatever he's cracking over there and doing that. And, so, it happens. It's normal. It's going to happen. But at the end of the day, what we do together on the radio, and I still believe this, and I tell him this to a day I die, is I don't think anybody can do what we do and how we do. The way we do it, we sound different than anybody. And I will say that just our energy, our chemistry, the way we bounce off each other, the way I stop a sentence, he starts it, and vice versa. Right, that's things. Certain things can't be coached, and we have that. Like, I have never heard a duo that's like that with that tight, where it's just like boom, 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 boom. Right. I haven't, and I still haven't to this day.
Yeah, it's a chemistry. It's a yin and yang. There's a light and a dark to everything. There's cold and hot. So we work well in that respect. We have totally different personalities, totally different, black and white. You couldn't be different.
More you couldn't, like total opposite. Total opposite.
That's funny. That's
absolute
funny.
Polar opposite. He loves to go out. I stay home. He has kids. I hate kids. Shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, we're but I'm saying, you know what I mean? But we have two different lifestyles.
Right.
But we complement each other in a way that, still to this day, when we do our shows, and we're doing it live right now on Twitch, so people can actually see how we do our shows and how we work. Like, I don't even look at him. He don't even look at me. I just say it. And then he knows when I'm going to end, and it's like boom, 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 boom.
It was interesting because, like, I'm watching you guys right now, and you guys are, popping in the drops, and you guys are just boom, 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 one right after another. And then you kind of take a quick little break and you chat a little bit. But it's like you said, you guys aren't even looking at each other. Eric's looking one way, Nick's looking at the other way, and you guys are just kind of doing your thing. You got your microphones in front of you, and just bam, you're popping it.
Yep. We have a contract. I can't make direct eye contact. That's what it is.
Don't look at this fool, man. He's going to piss me off.
Don't look at me directly in the eye more than 3 seconds, bro.
You heard that, Jesse? Don't look at the eye, bro. That's the first mistake.
That's good stuff. So what would you say is more your passion? Is it radio? Is it producing? Or is it DJing?
Well, I'll let Nick go first.
Oh man, the first was produce DJing. That was the first passion, and then the producing. Would probably be heavier for me now than anything. Radio is with everybody else. It's about between 5 and 10 on my list.
Mm-hmm.
All right, mine is radio, DJing, and producing. I can do it with or without. Like, I get very frustrated with producing. I'm a perfectionist, so unless I really love it, I won't be happy. I just won't. And I refuse to do something that I can't play somebody something if I don't feel that I'm happy with it, because it's just not going to be, it's not going to be authentic. You know, if I don't like it, then I don't like it. You know, that's just the way it is. There's not a lot of middle ground with me. It's either this way or that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like either I love it or I don't. There's not a lot of gray. Like, it's like, you know, my dating life is the same, which I don't have a dating life, but if I did have a dating life, it's like either I like you, like you're going to meet my friends, you're going to meet my family, or you're never meeting them.
Right.
That's what it is. No, I'm not bullshitting you. I'm totally honest. I told this one girl and she thought I was crazy. She was like, "What? Like, how do you like, no, I was like, I like you. If I like you like a girlfriend, we're going to do boyfriend, girlfriend things. If I don't, we ain't doing that shit." That's just real. Let's keep it what it is. That's it.
Hey, at least you're honest, man. At least you're telling them like it is, like you said.
No, I never lead anybody on in any way that way.
That's
never
funny.
play with anybody's emotion. Never.
That's crazy. So you guys end up leaving LA for a little while, right? You guys went to Miami, if I'm not mistaken.
We went to San Francisco first.
San Francisco. Okay.
San Francisco.
After we left Power, we went to 92.3 for about 6 months.
100.3.
Yeah. It was 92.3 when we got there, and it flipped because they sold the signal. Anyway, so we left Power. You know, we were doing afternoons at the time, and we had number one ratings there. And, you know, our program director, who was the program director for us at that time, Steve Smith, left and went to the other company, and he asked us if we wanted a contract. We weren't under contract at that time. So, yeah, we wanted a contract.
We left Power and we went to different cities for a little while, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he just cut me off. See that?
I'm just saying, like, to answer your question, we don't want to go into details. It's not necessary. So, yeah.
All right.
I got it. We got it. We got the picture. We got the picture. So once you get back to LA, you come back and you come back to K-Day, and you guys start doing the evening show, correct?
We were simulcasting from Miami at that time. Yes,
Okay.
we were doing
Okay.
nights.
What do you prefer, Miami or LA?
That's actually both. I mean, it depends on what you're asking about specifically. There's different things
Right.
to ask about. Like, I mean, Miami was fun. We had a shit ton of fun in Miami because we broke so many rules over there. It was just like wild. I'm like, if you remember the Baka Boyz on Power, us in Miami was like the Baka Boyz times 20.
Just put it like this: Baka Boyz listening to Two Live Crew.
I mean, we were playing a song. What was the name of that damn song?
What's he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? Who was it by again? It was on
Jackie O.
Jackie O.
Jackie O.
It was called. What was it called? I don't know. It was.
Dirty.
It was a dirty song, and we were playing it on the radio like in the ring. It was just like, I mean, we had, like, we did so much crazy shit out there. Like, we did, what's it called? We did pranks. You know, we would
Free Coochie Friday.
Yeah, we did all kinds of shit.
We gave away 100. How many chicken breasts? How many freight?
No, we were giving away 103 pair of breasts.
Pair of breasts.
Oh, that's classic.
It was for what's it called? April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, April Fool's Day.
In Miami. And we went on the air and said, there's a brand new doctor in town. He just got to town from Beverly Hills. He opened a new office in Coral Gables, and he's doing a promotion with the radio station. He wants to give away 103 pair of breasts. And it's going to be you, ladies, you just got to be here at 103.5 The Beat. We gave him the address. Be here. The first 103.5 ladies in line are going to get a free pair of breasts from Dr. Purdue. Yeah. So we have, it's the coldest night in Miami. And Miami doesn't have cold nights. It's warm all the time. It was probably like 45 degrees that night when we had the promotion. So it's the day, May 1st, which is
April 1st.
April 1st, excuse me. And there's a line of women outside the door when we arrived at 5 in the morning.
A line. Camped out. And they're all talking to each other. This better not be no fucking April Fool's Day. I swear if it is, fucking freezing nothing, you know, trying to get a pair of tits, right? So we bring them into the fucking the room, the big room, the big conference room or whatever, where they have performances.
Kevin's Jewelers, performing arts.
Yeah, like a big performing arts center thing, and we're like, hey, welcome, ladies. You know, this is Dr. Purdue. You guys ready? You guys excited? You guys excited for your breasts? What's up? They're like, yeah. So we bring it up. We bring up one of the girls, and she reads this letter. Hey, thank you for participating in 103.5 The Beat. We want to let you know that you are entitled to one pair of chicken breasts, courtesy of Dr. Purdue.
Purdue Chicken is the name of the one of the big farmers out there. Purdue Chicken.
They lost their shit.
They lost it.
They went nuts.
We had to leave the room.
You
we were broadcasting.
motherfuckers! You motherfuckers! Assholes! Fuck you, Baka Boyz! Fuck this, that. And then they started getting the chicken and throwing it at each other, having a chicken breast fight, right? And then one of the girls got smart. She's like, I'm taking all this shit home.
She said, I got food for weeks.
Dude, I had to call the cops.
I had to call the cops to get the women out of the building.
Oh, man.
Throwing chicken breasts at the gold and platinum things on the wall. And they were just tearing up the building trying to get them out.
It was awesome.
That's
that
classic.
That
is classic.
We did something called Drop Bombs in Your Moms out there in Miami. And we also did that in San Francisco, which was very, very successful for us as well. So we had a lot of success in these other cities when we left Power 106. You guys thought, you know, where'd they go? We went out and caught our East Coast wings. You know, we had our syndicated show that was popping off now.
Nice.
So since 2001. So we were syndicated all throughout this entire time that we had not been on Los Angeles radio.
Mm-hmm.
So just building the national Baka Boyz brand is what we've been doing since we left Power 106. Really.
Yeah, you guys did a great job, man, because I mean, me having a radio background, you know, and stuff, like, you know, I kind of follow different DJs that I've always liked and stuff like that. So it was interesting to see you guys, you know, evolve into that and so quickly. Because, like, I mean, I didn't know the story. I thought you guys actually had been in, you know, small market radio and you came to Power 106, but you guys just kind of jumped into it, and it's a really cool story how that happened.
We went from Market 87 to number 2. That is not done.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like there are people that have worked in radio their whole fucking life trying to get to a top 10 market.
Yeah.
And never get it.
Yeah.
We got it so fast we had no idea how big it was until we left. Because we just didn't know. We you know, all we seen is we're going from one radio station to another. We had no idea of the impact and how big it was. Like, we had no clue.
No, we used to drive to Los Angeles all the time when we were coming up to go produce or making a record label run. And we would listen to Power 106 and Lozano on the Loose. And we're like, wow, this is great. This is incredible. Even Los Angeles radio in general, whether it was Kiss FM or K-Rock. I mean, everything sounded fucking.
Yeah, back at that time, everything was like.
On point. Yeah. The production, the presentation, the music. It was just, we didn't even think, we weren't trying to get to Los Angeles radio. We were trying to get to the studio so we could produce records. So we were on radio though. That's the thing, there was a missing point to this, Eric, when we told a story about making it from Bakersfield to LA. Mm-hmm. At some point when I was DJing for Lighter Shade of Brown for a couple of shows, we made friends with them and they took me on tour. Me and Eric went on a couple of different spot dates.
I was his chaperone.
He was my chaperone. He was over 18. So we eventually made it back to Bakersfield for a live performance. At that point, there was a new program director at the radio station, Steve Wall, at KKXX, and he was the one putting on the show, which is us, Lighter Shade of Brown, performing in Bakersfield. And behind stage, as we were on stage, me and Eric were doing stuff, my dad introduced himself to the program director for KKXX and said, those are my sons, and they want to be on radio. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, here's my card. He introduced himself to Eric, gave him his card and said, hey, give me a call. And we had already lost our, you know, all of our love for trying to be on radio at that point.
We lost our passion for doing it because we were shot down, you know. After the AM station flipped, you know, there was a guy there at KKXX named Chris Squires, and he just basically shot us down. You know, we're like, we don't have radio. Those guys in those days, if you didn't have a broadcast certificate, license, didn't go to school for didn't go to college for broadcasting, then you couldn't be on the radio. You didn't have that. They didn't give you an opportunity. You know, we learned School of Hard Knocks. It was like, go.
On the job training.
It was on the job.
Wow.
I mean, if you listen to our first tapes from the radio, we probably said about 1,000 times. coming up. Nick, what you got? And we got some True Live Crew and some Trenier. And
yeah, but it was never us on the air together. Went back and now that I remember,
yeah,
we've never talked on the air crosstalk. It was like you're on the turntables and I'm talking, or I'm talking and you're on the turntables. It was always that dynamic. It was never like us talking back and forth.
Back and forth.
Not until we got Power, not till really the night show at Power 106 or.
Yeah, that and the other funny thing is like I didn't really get comfortable talking on the mic until I actually went to San Francisco. So all the years I was at Power, I wasn't comfortable in my skin talking on the radio.
Wow.
Now it's like
I love it.
It's like I get a mic in front of me, I go. We just go. I don't even like most of the time I don't even know what the hell I'm gonna say. It just happens. It's just like boom, 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 boom. This is what I feel like this is what we were made to do. We were born to do this.
So you guys got really lucky because, like I said, I left Power 106 just before you guys got there. And I had been talking to Jeff Wyatt, who was the program director prior to Rick. And I had told him, I would love to be on air and stuff like that. And the most that I got from him was to shadow the overnight guy whose name was Tony Toledo. And he was doing overnights, and I could sit there and just kind of watch him, even though I was running the board and everything. But I never got the opportunity to actually go on air. I did a few mixes for Boris and Chris and stuff when Richard and I first got there, but that was it. So after leaving, I heard a lot of great stories about Rick that, he helped a few DJs, like, Dave Jams, who ended up doing, I think, overnights as well. And then you guys as well. I mean, the stories you guys just mentioned, I mean, it's really cool because there's not a lot of program directors that would take chances on people back in the day. It's like you guys were saying that these guys were talking about, you have to have your FCC license and all this crap, but you guys, I think you just came with a a reality type thing which was just natural, which is what was missing from radio back at that time.
Especially with the culture of hip hop at that point in time, you couldn't really put somebody like George McFly up there talking about Cypress Hill and how, the blunts and coming to the studio, doing all that stuff. It's a totally different lifestyle that these people were living, and the radio station didn't mirror that.
Yeah, people see through the fake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially hip hop. They'll know if you're authentic or not. They'll just know. They'll see right through.
And they'll eat you alive if you're not doing it right, man. They'll tear you down.
Tear you out for sure.
Crazy. So let's get to the present. Quarantine hits. How did you guys start transitioning? How has this affected you or actually made things better for you?
For me, it hasn't really affected me at all. It's like everybody,
Eric V lives a quarantine lifestyle.
Yeah, pretty much. So you guys are in my world now. You motherfuckers are like, I can't go to concerts. I can't do that. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, I don't want to see nobody. There's nobody I want to see in concert. I don't care if Kanye's performing or whoever. I've gotten invited so many times to so I'm like, nah, I don't want to go. I'm like, I'm cool. Unless the Beatles, James Brown, Jimi Hendrix, and a bunch of other people that are performing, I'm cool.
It's in heaven when you die.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying it hasn't really affected me that much in that manner. As far as our work goes, no, it hasn't really affected us either because we've been syndicated. So we've been pre-recording our shows for 20 years now.
We haven't been in a real recording studio, a real radio broadcast studio, doing a full-time gig since 2008.
Wow, that's been a minute.
Yep.
And so how do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about the whole Twitch thing and the streaming and all that stuff? Has this taken it? I mean, because you guys also got the graphics and all this stuff going on as well. How did you guys, feel about that transition?
We were doing Twitch before Twitch was popular. I mean, Twitch has already been popular in the gaming world.
Gaming, yeah.
I'm a gamer. I play like Madden football. That's pretty much the only game I play, but I would stream my games and I'd always be on there doing that. But as far as like the music and the DJing, that didn't come till the pandemic, because before that, everybody that was watching DJs now had no idea what Twitch was. No. They're like, what's Twitch?
Yeah.
What is that for gamers and this and that? And then once Instagram and Facebook shut everybody down and YouTube, everybody flocked to Twitch. So before we were doing a show on Dash Radio for a while too, as well. Was it 2017 or 18? 2018. We were doing a morning show every day, Monday through Friday, right? Monday through Friday, from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock every day. We had guests. There's a lot of our interviews online from that show. We had Megan Thee Stallion, we had Saweetie, we had Edwin James Olmos, Fluffy, a list of people, known big artists and stuff like that. And so we were doing that show, and we would do it every day live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So we had the 3 platforms going. And at that time, we did an entire year on Twitch, right? We had about 400 followers. Okay. Since the pandemic, I was like, man, I need to get on this DJ grind and start grinding today, start getting the numbers up and stuff like that. So since the pandemic, which was March or whatever, whenever this thing started, now we're at 3.3 followers, 3.3, 3,300. Wow. So now that people are aware of Twitch, now they know where to find us and they know what it's about now. And people are still learning Twitch. It's a little confusing to people sometimes. Like, what are the bits and what are this and how does this work? And, all that stuff like that. So, we got affiliated, which was the easy part. And then getting a partner was a lot harder. But, when you're a partner, it's more beneficial for the streamer. And now we're doing what we would do off the air on Twitch now every day, or when we do our recordings. So people actually see us, what we're doing, how we work, our workflow. That's cool. Situation.
Yeah, it's a cool behind the scenes experience of what your show is all about. And that to me is what attracted me. I started watching you guys and I was like, oh, cool. Because I forgot who it was that said, hey man, the Baka Boyz are on Twitch, so I figured you guys are spinning, and then you guys are right there and you're doing your whole editing and messing around and doing your thing. And I was like, this is cool. It's different. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to see you guys spinning but you still obviously do your spinning as well.
Yep. See, Erica Guggles right here just said, that was me. What's Twitch? In my old lady voice.
That's classic. Well, listen, brothers, we have come to the end of this little interview, man. I want to really thank you guys for taking the time and sitting and chatting with me, man. It's a great pleasure to have you guys on board. And it's just, I've followed you for so many years, and it's really an honor to be chatting with you.
Appreciate it, man. And let me know if you want to come down one day and check us out on our Wednesday when we record, and you can come out and hang out and just be a fly on the wall if you want.
Yeah, by all means, man. I'd love to.
With a little something here.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Orale, it's on now.
Oh, here we go.
It's going in and out.
I hope, brother. Respect. Thank you.
There we go. He just blessed you.
Thanks a lot, brothers.
Here, let me play you this for one time.
72,000 pounds of fat Mexican power. 72,000 pounds of fat Mexican power. Baka Boyz.
There we go. Thanks again, brothers. And for those of you that are watching, don't forget that all their links are going to be down in the description. And if you like this episode, please click that like button. And of course, subscribe and click the bell so that you get notified when I have yet another amazing talent. Brothers, Nick, Eric, I really appreciate you guys. God bless. Stay safe. And hopefully we'll stay in touch, man.